Hello guys, hello agents, how you guys doing? This is Jorge with Greystone Investment Group, where you invest, we do the rest. Homesforincome.com, that is homes the number 4, income.com. Today we have an awesome guest, Dario.
We have an awesome desk too.
Yes, we have an awesome desk as well. Dario is a mortgage lender. He's been doing it for how long?
12, 13 years now.
12, 13 years? It seems like a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about you.
I've been in the business, like you said, for 12, 13 years. I started back in 2006. So right before the market crashed, like a crazy person, I survived. So we've been able to help a lot of people, a lot of families in the market be able to buy their first home and buy their dream home. So we kind of know how to handle anyone pretty much from start to finish, depending on anywhere they're at in their life, in their career, and even in their family. So
awesome. And we met Wachovia.
we did Wachovia back in the day. Can you remember that?
That's
I
crazy.
don't even remember that bank anymore.
So we're just gonna have a very relaxed conversation here on how we could help our agents. We have about 30 agents here at Greystone, and we're just gonna talk about ideas, how we could help them turn some of those tenant leads into buyers.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of them.
A lot. I know, because my phone's blowing up all the time from your agents. So definitely wanted to give you guys a couple ideas, a little pointers on what to look for when you're talking to a tenant that is potentially looking to rent. They might have the ability to purchase instead of renting. A lot of people nowadays, have mid 600 credit scores, and they think that they need to be in the 700s in order to qualify. And you and I both know that that's not truly the case. And then when you're talking about a renter, right? Usually you're going to be looking for a deposit, first month's rent, and all that stuff. That means they've got a little bit of savings in order to be able to do that. So if we could take that, maybe pad it a little bit or use some special programs, we could take that and use it towards a down payment instead of towards a rental. So just a couple of different little things. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that it's part of the nature of the business, especially when you're in property management like we are, where you're going to get a ton of people. The ratio of potential tenants versus buyers is huge. I mean, I will say out of 100 calls we get, 90 of them are tenants.
Yeah.
So how do we, I mean, that's a lot of potential buyers if you could convert them. And what do we do about it? How do we help the agent convert a tenant into a buyer? Because there's so many leads, tenant leads coming through. And we don't want the agents to waste their time either, Right. So that's why we're putting this video together, to come up with some ideas on how we could help these agents. In our case, Dario, the beauty is that our standards for tenants are pretty high.
Okay.
So we're already asking tenants to have a minimum of 650.
Wow.
So I would imagine that if you're an agent and you're working with a PM company, property management company, and the requirements are like that, 650 and above, that's a company you want to be with, because those, at least on the credit side of things, they already qualify, right?
Yeah, they're credit-worthy borrowers at that point.
What is the minimum nowadays? Realistically, don't give people, I can do 480. No, realistically,
could not do 480. Don't know. No. Realistically, 600 is what our bare minimum is.
How difficult is that 600?
So it can be challenging. I mean, there's going to be extra hoops to jump through and things like that. So when you start climbing into the 640 range and higher, that's when it's going to be a little bit easier. You're going to qualify for more things. Your rates and terms are going to be better. So the example I give people is, if you have a 600 credit score, you might qualify for one loan option. But the moment we get you to 640, now you have 3 loan options. We get you to 680, now you have maybe 6 or 7 loan options. The higher your credit score, the more options you're going to have, which obviously is going to be beneficial, because then you might have lower credits or lower down payment requirements, lower interest rate, which is also going to make your payment lower, maybe qualify you for a little bit more money in terms of being able to purchase a nicer, better quality.
I hope you guys are hearing him. He speaks kind of low. Okay, so that makes sense. So what is the ideal credit score? Is it 650? Because you're talking about options, more options, more options. What would you say that is the sweet spot?
The ideal credit score is 800.
No, but realistically,
with anyone that has
where the person gets 80% of 80, let's call it 80% of all.
I typically like to see a 660. You're going to be able to get a lot more options with that 660. Oh, hey, Speedy. With 660, you're going to have a little.
660.
660, you're going to have more options.
Why not 650?
You could do 650. The thing that there's something that's called loan level pricing adjusters, so LLPAs. Right. This is a term that's used in the industry that basically will make a rate higher if you're 659 or lower, right? So that 660, I know that those LLPAs start going away, those loan level pricing adjusters, and they're going to free up, extra points that are going to allow me to give you a better interest rate.
Okay.
So that's why 660 is a sweet spot. If you're at 650, getting you that extra 10 points is really not that difficult. So
let me ask you a question. So 660, that's the number.
Mm-hmm.
We do come up with quite a few agents, tenants that have a 650 or above.
Mm-hmm.
Why they're not buying? What do you think? I mean,
honestly, I'm not really sure. I think in this industry,
the perception
and the education is missing to know exactly what's required in order to be able to purchase a home. It isn't as difficult as it used to be. I mean, the pendulum did swing way over to where it was almost nearly impossible to get a mortgage a couple years ago. But now things have loosened up quite a bit so that we can help people with down payment assistance programs. We can help them with different low payment options or down payment options and things of that nature. Actually, later today, I'm going to be taking a little education course on a new program that we're rolling out that's going to be giving a $2,500, $1,500, or $1,000 grant to our clients, depending on where they live or what their median income is. So that's where I come in. The expertise is I provide mortgage solutions. So my team and I, we find out what specifically your situation is and then provide a solution for that.
Got it. So going back to making tenants into buyers. So 660, that makes sense. I think if I'm hearing you correctly, one of the reasons why people are not buying is because of the lack of education and what they're capable of doing with their current situation. I agree with that. I think the next thing is, in the ideal world, the agent has a tenant with a 660 minimum and tells the tenant, let's try to buy, convince the tenant to start that process. What would you say is the next thing for that realtor to do?
So once they've kind of figured out that they actually have the credit score, making sure that they actually have some sort of income, whether it's employment or
because the computer is so far away. I hope that they can hear you. Okay.
Whether it's as long as they have some sort of income, right? We in lending we're looking for three things: credit, debt, and income. So if they don't have any income, then we really don't have any options. We don't have any loans.
How do you suggest that the agents verify that?
It's not necessarily I don't even know if it's really their place, or I don't know what you think, but usually you just I would ask, hey, so what do you do for work? Something like that, something simple that doesn't seem too invasive, that usually people are able to answer that question fairly easily and quickly, and just say, hey, oh, I do this, or I work here, or I do that. So that way, as long as you know that there's something happening, then okay, the probability is that they do have some sort of income. If they tell you, oh no, I'm in between jobs, or oh no, I'm this or I'm that, then you can ask a follow-up question. Maybe they're retired, maybe they have disability income, things like that. Obviously, the in-depth information is my job. My team and I, we're going to figure that out. But at least knowing that they have a decent credit score and some sort of income, I think, are the two basic questions that they should be asking.
So let's say that we get to the point where, Dario, they have a 660 minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have income, verifiable income, right? What is the minimum down payment the person should have?
I try to recommend people to have anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 of their own money.
All right, guys, we're back. We lost connection there for a second. So today's video, once again, is how do we assist agents with converting tenants into potential buyers. One of the reasons we like this strategy is the obvious, because there's more tenants than buyers at the moment. And if we could help agents convert more tenants, they're going to have more buyers and make more money. Okay, that's what we're doing. To summarize so far, what Dario and I have been speaking about is that the potential tenant has to have a minimum of a 660 credit score. Actually, the credit score could be 600, but ideally 660. They have to have a verifiable income, and you can elaborate more on that. That's W-2s, tax returns.
Tax returns, any type of disability.
And it has to be a 2-year minimum, right?
Yes, I mean, there's exceptions to that, but 2 years, what we're going to typically look for in terms of employment history. Okay, awesome. And the third thing we were gonna start talking about is the down payment. Okay. So you said about 3,000 to 5,000, but give it to me in a percentage basis. How much do they need, you think, per property? So it really, again, it depends, because there's so many different programs out there that my job is to provide the custom solution for each individual. Right, so that's where I say typically 3,000 to 5,000. We can typically cover what we need to do with that.
50,000.
That would be anywhere from 150 to maybe even closer to 200. So obviously, the higher you go in that price range, the more money I would suggest to have, because the last thing I want to do is put a client or have a client be in a situation where we've bought a house and now they can't afford to paint it or even move. Sometimes people forget that after you purchase that house and you've spent all the money to be able to get in there, you still need to be able to move, even if you need to get buy pizza and beer for your friends to help you move with their trucks, but those are things that you have to take into account. So being completely broke after closing is never an ideal situation. So the more money you can save, the better. It's not always going to be fully used 100%. That's not the goal of having money saved, but there are some requirements that a client will have to put some sort of money into the transaction.
Awesome. So let's summarize things again. If you have a client that is a tenant and you want to convert them into a buyer, they're going to require a minimum 600 credit score, ideally a 650, so they could get 80% to 90% of all the products out there. We're going to require income verification, 2 years ideally, W-2, tax returns, whatever the case might be. And 3, Dario is saying anywhere from 3 to 5. I'm thinking 3%.
That'd be nice.
Like 3%. So those are the qualifications that you're going to require in order to really waste time with a potential a tenant that could be your potential buyer. Now, we talked about the requirements. Now, let's talk about the perception and why. And I've seen it myself. I've seen hundreds of rental apps where people are applying for these rentals and have good income. They have the 660, sometimes 700, which is crazy. And why are they not buying? And you mentioned something to me earlier that you think is the education is not there. But if you could pinpoint what's the main reason that this is happening? What would you think?
I think a lot of people are scared and they don't really know what programs are available and out there to be able to help them. People are fearful of what they do not know, right? So if they figure if they don't try, they can't be rejected, or they might think that if they try to purchase a house and they're rejected or declined now, that prevents them from being able to do something in the future. So that's not true. And I wanted to go back to something else that we were talking about, right? The 2-year employment history. There's a perception out there that people think that it has to be 2 years on the same job. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is stable, gainful employment, right? So if in the last 2 years you've had 2 or 3 jobs, but every single time you're taking a step up and a step up, to be able to get, better benefits, more pay, that type of thing, that's what we're looking for. Obviously, if you're bouncing around from job to job to job to job, then that's not going to be as beneficial. But it does not necessarily have to be in the same at the same job or with the same employer.
Awesome. So last time we summarized this.
Yes.
I love summarizing things because it gets people to record it, in their brains. Okay, so we're gonna, if you wanna convert a tenant, they need to have ideally minimum 600, ideally 660 to get most of the products out there. Mm-hmm. You need a 2-year employment. Yep. It could be a step up. It could be they could go from one company to the other as long as it's on the same field. Yep. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. All right. And that's going to be verifiable through W-2s, tax returns, whatever the case might be. So far, so good. And I've seen a lot of people that qualify for this. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people. And then the 3%, which the 3% to me, 50% of those potential tenants can do it. I think that's the biggest challenge. Having the 3%, because a lot of them, they're going through the transition of their lease is almost over, so they need the first month, the deposit. They need to spend money on, how do you call it? Transferring the stuff. How do you call it?
Moving expenses.
Expensive and stuff like that. So, and usually people that are renting are in a budget. Right. So I would say that's the one part that you will have to work the most with your tenant, which is helping them create a budget so they could get to that 3%.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That to me, most of the tenants have that, but I would want to bet where they get stuck is on that 3%.
Yeah.
So to our agents, especially to Greystone agents, my advice is set them up into a savings plan, where you say, okay, did you know that as of right now you qualify based on X, Y, and Z, but the only piece you're missing is having a couple of $1,000. So let's try to make that in the next 6 months, or let's try to make that by the end of your lease.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen. What do you think?
Within 10 months, so that they have some time.
Within 10 months, so they have 2 months to plan and look for a property and everything else. Yeah. Okay. I think this has been very helpful. Anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. I just want to remind everybody that what we're talking about here, our summary has always been, kind of the basics, right? There's a lot more that goes into an actual mortgage process. So your situation and my situation aren't the same, and they're not going to fit within the same box. But that's where, the different programs and things come in, where we can solve and provide solutions to be able to find that. So
absolutely. That's why you want to become a Greystone agent. Because constantly we're trying to find angles of how to create more business for you. And Dario, I'm so blessed to have Dario as one of our partners, sources that is so professional. He has so much experience in this field that could really elevate us too as agents, an agency. So already summarized it. I promise I'm not going to summarize it again. So the tip for the agents is be in the lookout for these things that we talked about.
Yes.
Now that we identify all of this, what is the next step? Do we send you the email and phone number or the contact information? What type of criteria would you need to hit the floor running?
So you could, there's obviously different ways of communicating. We're trying to, Jorge and I are working on a standardized version for all the Greystone agents. But for right now, everybody's part of the What's Up group. So you guys can send me information there. You can always email me, text me. My phone number has not changed in 13, 14, 15 years. I don't know.
Your phone number is 813. I don't know.
My phone number is 813-766-8725. The office.
Repeat that two more times.
813-766-8725. And last time, 813-766-8725.
Wow, that sounds like a great salsa or merengue for 92.5. You know?
Yeah, we did have Speedy listening to the last one. So to summarize, now I'm gonna.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
it's contagious.
It is contagious. I like it. I'm gonna have to do this every single time. So just make sure they have credit. Make sure they have income. We're here to help with everything else. So just send us the information. I'm truly blessed to have you as a friend and business partner too. Greystone has been a very good company, and I'm proud of you for all the success you've achieved. So look forward to continuing our business relationship and making you, the agents, some more money.
Guys, if you're not attempting this, if you have a ton of tenants and you're not converting at least 5% or 10% of them, you're leaving money on the table. So hopefully this helps. Thank you so much. Remember, at Greystone you invest, we do the rest. Homesforincome.com. That is homes. 4income.com. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.